Home renovations are known for being pretty costly, but sometimes you never know where you'll find buried treasure. You might think that you'd need a treasure map and advanced excavating equipment to find a treasure chest, but sometimes it's as simple as swinging a hammer in your own living room. Not that we recommend you trying this at home, but we'll show you some lucky people who found expensive items during home renovations. If you want to sign up for even more awesome discoveries brought to you by The Hub, be sure to hit that subscribe button and then join our notification squad. Gold brick. For people with plumbing troubles in their houses, it seems like plumbers just exist to take money. But a couple of plumbers in Calgary actually returned something extremely valuable to the homeowner. Alif Babdul and Dean Materi were tearing apart a bathroom and noticed something unusual in a pile of dusty rubble. At first they assumed the glint was part of an old light fixture, but they soon realized that it was far too heavy. They reached into the pile and pulled out a gold brick the size of a cell phone. The golden brick ended up being worth about $50,000. It weighed over 2 pounds and was stamped with a serial number. Honest to a fault, the plumbers returned the brick to the owner, who had been missing it terribly. Babul is the owner of Perfection Plumbing and Gas Ltd, and in his 12 years on the job, he says this is the most expensive item he's ever unearthed. It's thought that the homeowner had stashed the bar under the jacuzzi tub, and the vibrations from the motor in the tub caused it to become dislodged from its hiding place and get lost. Babul hopes that finding and returning the gold bar means that good karma will soon be coming his way. $500,000. Finding a large sum of money in your house seems like it'd be awesome, but that really depends on who left it there to be discovered. When a couple bought a home in Paradise Valley, Arizona, they began to do some renovations and discovered that the walls were literally full of cash. $500,000 in cash, that is. The money belonged to the former owner of the house, Robert Spann. He had a habit of storing valuables all over the house, and after he passed away, his daughters scoured the property, finding various stocks, bonds, gold, and other treasures. When they were convinced they'd found all there was to find, the daughters put the house on the market as is and sold it. When the new owners hired a company to do some renovations, they found 2 old ammunition canisters full of cash in the kitchen wall, and an additional 2 inside the bathroom. Now, here's where it gets complicated. The contracting company believes that it was entitled to the money, while the couple believed it was theirs since they owned the house. We believe that legally, this is referred to as finders keepers, losers weepers rule. Meanwhile, Spann's daughters filed a suit also, claiming that the money actually belonged to them. The court ended up finding out that because the daughters didn't voluntarily and intentionally give up the money, it still belonged to them. Movie posters. While finding a treasure trove of movie posters probably isn't as exciting as finding a gold bar or a stack of cash, they can definitely add up. Blair Petre from Alberta, Canada was set to renovate his new home and began tearing down some of the walls. Well, the saying one man's trash is another man's treasure certainly applies here, because it seems that the home's previous owner used vintage movie posters as insulation. After only living in his new house for 2 weeks, he stumbled onto a plethora of movie posters from the late 1920s and early 1930s. There were about 360 posters and film title cards that were once likely displayed in a movie theater. They were found stuffed under floorboards, in a crawl space, and underneath the roof. The posters featured many big stars from that time period, including Bela Lugosi, Buster Keaton, and Greta Garbo. Out of the over 300 posters he found, 40 so far have been sold at auction and brought in about $30,000 after auction fees were paid. Cleverly, the homeowner stated that he plans to use the proceeds to pay off the renovations that netted him the treasure to begin with. Cash in the ceiling. If you've already checked your floorboards and walls for stray cash, you might want to check your ceiling as well. In Queensbury, New York, Hilltop Construction Company was hired to renovate the kitchen of an older home. The home belonged to Jim and Judy Thal, and let's just say that they were pretty thrilled with the job the construction company did. One worked open an access panel above one of the kitchen cabinets and found a nondescript brown paper bag that just so happened to be filled with cold hard cash. The $100 bills inside the bag were dated back from the 1960s and totaled $15,000. It was the son of the company's owner that found the bag, and he just tossed it on the floor, saying, "Here's a bag of money." But thankfully, another worker actually looked in the bag and discovered that it was in fact a bag of money. It's scary to think that this could have easily ended up in the trash heap, but instead it was turned over to the shocked homeowners, who also decided to put it towards future home remodeling projects. Comic book. Some people are lucky enough to find hidden treasures in their homes that's even more valuable than the house itself. One such fortunate individual is David Gonzalez from Hoffman, Minnesota. He paid just over $10,000 for a fixer-upper property and immediately got to work. He was tearing out old insulation in the garage when he noticed that a previous owner had used newspapers and comic books to line the walls. One comic in particular caught Gonzalez's eye, and he brought it inside to show his wife. After subsequently protecting the delicate comic from his wife's grabbing hands, Gonzalez decided to track down someone who might be able to tell him what the book was worth. The comic book is one you might recognize. In 1938, Action Comics #1 was released, which may seem familiar because that was the first time we all met Superman. The comic was in rough shape, but it still commanded a hefty price of over $100,000 when it sold at auction. Getting a $100,000 book out of a $10,000 house means that Gonzalez got a return on his investment times 10. When asked what he intended to do with the money, he said the usual spiel about taking care of his family, but then added that he also wants to buy a Camaro. Maps. Okay, so maybe finding the treasure map is usually only the first step towards finding something expensive, but you have to admit it's a very important step. When Guilford and Christine Watkins began renovating their floor, they had to peel back many layers of old flooring in the dining room. Hidden beneath one layer were old ship maps and nautical charts. For years, these had been covered by layers of foam, newspapers, and thin sheets of linoleum. They were able to trace the map's origin back to the 1800s. The house itself was built in 1833 and was inhabited by generations of a family that owned numerous ships and even a shipping company. The maps vary in size and geography, highlighting the English Channel, the Dutch coast, and British America. It's estimated that these maps are worth up to $6,000 because of their historical significance. But the Watkins family has no intention of selling. They bought their home in no small part because of the old-fashioned charm, and they plan to properly mat and frame these unique pieces of history. In addition, they're also looking forward to renovating the rest of the house to see if they find any more hidden treasures. Mosque. Finding cash or rare comics in your house is an exciting occasion, but a couple in Rome found something even more incredible while renovating their home, something of immense value that it's hard to put a price tag on. Giuseppe Cadilli and Valeria Giarusso purchased an apartment in Via Porta di Castro, located near the Royal Palace of Palermo. After owning it for nearly a decade, they finally got around to renovating their home. They planned to knock down a wall in order to create a more open floor plan when they noticed that the plaster was wet due to a leak. When cleaning it up, they noticed Arabic writing. Underneath the plain-looking walls were detailed Arabic inscriptions made in silver and gold. Startled and intrigued by this discovery, the couple called in a restoration expert and an expert in Palermo history. It's thought that this home once belonged to a nobleman or a merchant in the late 1700s. The former owner had constructed a mosque right inside his house. The discovery was very important, as a mosque built in a private dwelling had never before been seen in Sicily. As far as the dollar amount for this incredible discovery, we can't really say for sure, but it must be worth a pretty penny. Painting. Secret rooms and fake walls seem like something out of a Sherlock Holmes novel, but once in a while they do appear in the real world as well. Just ask brothers Dave and Don Jr. Traty, who inherited a house in Vermont that had once belonged to their late father. When the brothers began renovating the house, they noticed a strange gap in a wood-paneled wall. They tore down the wall and found a secret storage area inside, holding one extremely valuable painting. The painting is Breaking Home Ties, an original Norman Rockwell. A copy of the painting was once published on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post and was subsequently voted the second most popular cover in the magazine's history, second only to another Rockwell painting, of course. When the painting sold at auction, it was for a record-breaking $15.4 million. Of course, the really interesting part of this story is what the painting was doing back there in the first place. Well, it seems like their late father had bought the painting for a mere $900 back in 1960, and he considered it to be his prized possession. While going through a bitter divorce, he cleverly reproduced the painting and hid the real one behind the fake wall in order to stop his estranged wife from taking possession of it. Coins. While some people immediately recognized that they'd hit the jackpot, this wasn't the case for construction worker Richard Mason. While renovating an old house on the island of Lindisfarne, he was digging out the basement when he found what appeared to be a simple old jug. He took it home and put it in his own basement, where it stayed for 8 years. One day, Mason finally got around to cleaning it up when he noticed that it was rather heavy. He tipped it over and gold and silver coins began to pour out. Inside the jug were silver and gold coins dating from the 1420s to the 1560s. The total estimated value for these coins is around $40,000, and over half of that value is from one single rare coin, the golden scudo of Pope Clement VII. Pope Clement VII was famous for his refusal to annul the marriage of Henry VIII to Catherine of Aragon in the 1520s. This coin is one of only 3 that are known to exist. Between finding a jug full of valuable coins and the previous worker who found a paper bag full of money, you're going to want to make sure to inspect all your items carefully during a home renovation. Mayan murals. Scraping away plaster is a time-consuming and usually boring part of any home renovation project. That is, unless you find a one-of-a-kind piece of ancient artwork buried under a layer of paint. Lucas Azicona Ramirez began chipping away plaster in the kitchen of his home in Quechua, Guatemala, when he made a startling discovery. On the oldest layer of plaster in the house is a centuries-old Mayan mural. Ramirez immediately calls in experts and ceased renovations, lest he inadvertently damage the mural. Boston University archaeologist William Saturno examined the mural and believes that it depicts the conquest dance, a Mayan ritual that is still performed today. Saturno added that it's astounding that the mural survived this long, as similar murals have not been so well preserved and fade with prolonged exposure to light. It's thought that the home in which it was found must have once belonged to an important member of Mayan society. The people in the mural appear to be Mayan, yet are seen wearing some European clothing, so it's likely this was created after the Spanish invasion. It's hard to put a dollar amount on a priceless piece of historical artwork, especially one that can't exactly be sold to a museum, but it's clear that this is something of incredible value. Have you ever made any strange or valuable discoveries when inspecting a new house? Tell us about it in the comments. From a bathtub to the ceiling, it seems like there's no place people won't tuck away some of their valuable items. Kinda makes you want to check the corners of your house just a little bit closer. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join our notification squad. Bye for now.